Recording in progress.
All right, today we're here for Deandre Anderson 2.0 interview. I have my co-hosts Frank Spalding and Matt Rogers, and of course the superstar Deandre Anderson. We're gonna just have a conversation. We're gonna have fun today. I always like these. This is the first time we've had you. It's been like 6 months since we had you on, so this kind of like what's happened since then. Like, let's get an update. Like, man, you're probably a millionaire by now.
Well, I mean, the same thing's going on, except everything is like more like 10x. It's 10x where it was then. So more deals, more JV deals coming in, more employees, more, helping more people add to my like Hivemind and, just helping more people out. So everything's been great. And like I said, then I say 5x, now 10x. So it's like double the efficiency. Everything is double at this point. Double the assignment fees, everything.
So wouldn't that be 2x?
How many employees do you have now?
Frank is like, it's 2x, not 10x.
So how many employees you got now? Since you're doing more, you're good, man. You guys can hop in whenever you want. This is awesome. Let's have some fun here.
I feel like last time we did the talk, I think I maybe had like one or higher than another, not sure. But I do have 3 like full-time. They're full-time, 40 hours a week, all of them. And I do have a lot more JV deals coming in. So a lot more people reaching out. I probably have, I'm going to say right now, about 8 JV deals, like all going on all at one time right now. So 8 joint venture deals between maybe 3 or 4 different Hive members. So let's say me and one Hive member, we may have 5 deals together. And then we'll have another Hive member. We'll have like 3 other deals together. So about roughly 8 JV deals together right now.
So Deandre, when you're, hiring people and you're setting your team up, and one of the things that a lot of people have questions about is, what would you make your first hire as somebody who's looking for a new VA, and what would be kind of the rank of, this would be my first hire, I would have them do this. Second hire, I would have them do this, and so on and so forth.
Well, this is what I recommend as far as with hiring, right? I will hire out the most tedious task, right? So my first hire out was all the Excel scraping, uploading lists, pulling lists, skip tracing lists, and scraping the data. That is what took the longest. So if you're spending your time doing something that's taking like real long, I would definitely master that, and I will hire that out as quickly as possible. That way you could focus on all of the less stressful positions. Because I kid you not, it took hours. Like let's say I pull a list of 5,000 records, right? And I had to organize them and get them skip traced and what good leads and bad leads. And then, a couple hours are gone, right? But within that time, I could have been marketing. I could have been doing other things, right? So I definitely recommend hiring out all the tedious tasks first.
Where are you getting your VAs from?
I'm sorry, Frank.
Sorry about that, Matt.
In terms of how long, just one quick follow-up on that. In terms of how long that took for you to get your first VA trained, are you still with the same first VA that you hired, or did you have to cycle through a few of them to find the right fit for you? And if so, how long did it take you to fully get them trained the way that you want them to do business?
Well, that's my question.
Yeah, exactly. So the way I do it, they all have a 2-week training. So the one that I very, very first hired is still with me to this day. She's a rock star. She's awesome, right? It only took her 2 weeks of training. So I kind of have a rule in my company, right? If they don't make it in 2 weeks, I don't think they're gonna make it past that, unless there's something that happens, like maybe like something devastating, like a family situation, or like something with their internet connection, something like that. If they don't make it in 2 weeks, they're not gonna make it. I make it like all the videos recorded, all the training manuals done, ethics, rules, morals for the business. In those 2 weeks, you have to know a lot. I make sure you know everything. I record everything, right, that we talked about. And then I have you watch videos that were already recorded. And then I get on with you and I make you do everything that you just watched, right, from the recordings. And then I record that again. So it's like, if you don't get it in 2 weeks, then I don't think you're going to make it. So I say 2 weeks of training should be good enough, depending on how your training is set up and, you know, the way you do it. But 2 weeks is like the cutoff for me. So 2 weeks.
So kind of a follow-up to that, do you already have everything completely documented step by step, what you want them doing, like how to do each process, like from the beginning to the end? Or are you just trying to teach them, like showing them what to do and counting on that video as being the thing that they can go back to?
Well, both. So I have the videos in on loom.com. I have those videos so that they can always go back and refer to them if they forget anything. But I really like using flow charts, right? So I like to use the flow charts as tasks, so they know, like for example, I don't want to have to come in every day and say, hey, Keisha, I need you to do this. Hey, Matt, hey, I need you to do this every day. No, there's a flow chart, step 1, step 2, all the way to 10. They know what to do from the moment they clock in all the way until the moment they clock out. Because I don't really like to micromanage, right? I like to just look, you know, check in here and there, make sure everything is fine, answer questions. But the flow charts save me a lot of time and energy. So once you mix up the flow charts with the videos, I think you'll be good. You'll be fine.
In terms of payment and things like that, do you offer any kind of bonuses to your VAs for deals closed, or is it just, hey, here's your hourly and you know, this is what we do?
Offer bonuses. So $50 bonuses. So a $50 bonus per contract that we get that closes. Yep, and they're some of my VAs they're out in the Philippines. Like a lot of guys use those type of virtual assistants. So, and they're really excited. But I did start off at 25. But you know, all the deals are coming in and they're strong, and then everything just started, you know, they just started flowing, like moving together as a unit. So I actually increased it to $50 per contract closed. And they're very excited about that. So yep.
That's great. I had a guy in one of my other groups I'm a part of tell me that he did something very similar, and he started doing so many deals that he ended up having some of his VAs leave because they were making so much money they just didn't want to work anymore. So is there kind of a fine line, Deandre, that you found that in terms of, like, you know, being generous with bonuses and things like that versus, you know, making sure that they don't, you know, get like too fat and happy and walk away?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Matt. I wouldn't go past, in my opinion. I heard someone that did that to them as well. I would not, in my opinion, I wouldn't go past $75. I personally know a guy that did $150 bonuses, and that did not turn out good for him. So I would stay under 100 or stay like at 75 or below, or make it harder to get the bonuses. Or if you're going to increase the bonus, make it, you know what, instead of getting a bonus per contract, you're going to get a bonus per 3 contracts. You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to increase the amount of the bonuses, change the amount of contracts or whatever the incentive is. If you're going to keep it loads, and just, you're right. It has to be a balance. So keep it under 100 or 75 at that. Or if you go higher, just go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? Lost my train of thought.
No,
I would almost, I was going to say,
Daniel will cut that out.
nah, leave it in there. I would almost think, you know, increase the training available for negotiation skills and increase the size of the bonus based on the size of the spread, you know, and the size of the deal, which is a result of better negotiation skills. To follow on to that, though, like the first VA, you know, have you gotten to the position potentially, or do you see that VA getting to the position where she becomes, you know, the person who gets to train other VAs to help you to grow?
It honestly, it really depends on how strong the VA is. You have to know if they're strong or not. Like, some are strong and they can train others and they can do more than what you're asking of them. And then some of them, they're not that strong. They're not able to train, or they're not able to do more. They literally can just do what you tell them to do, and they do that well. So the first one I hired, she's like in the middle. She's not that strong, but she's not weak. So, but she's not the person to train other VAs. So I was the one to train the extra 2 VAs when I got them. So I trained them. But she's really good at what I hire her for, you know, follow-ups, scrubbing the list, you know, calling sellers, the ones that we haven't we've followed up with them 10, 20 times and they haven't got back to us. So she's really good at follow-ups. She wouldn't be strong in training other VAs.
Are you getting them through a third-party service where you're paying them X amount and then they're paying the VA? Or did you just find her directly? And will that end all of your VAs?
It was a mixture of both. So the very first one I did, I actually got her directly through Facebook. She wrote me as a direct message on Facebook. And after she wrote me, probably took me a couple of weeks to get back to her because I wasn't ready for a VA at the time, in my opinion. But when I was ready, I said, great. I did have some of these virtual assistants reach out to me on the internet, on Facebook. So I went back to Facebook and then I started asking her questions. I went to her website, verified and checked. And then, so I guess that was direct. And then she happened to have a sister that needed work as well. So I hired her and I hired her sister. So those first two were direct. And then for the third one, I actually did go through a VA agency for my acquisitions VA. So I used that for my third one. So I guess a little both. Found my own and then found one through an agency.
No, that's awesome, man. So one thing I want to ask is you're actually buying deals now. You're no longer a straight wholesaler. Let's talk about that, man. You've stepped up.
Yes, I've bought, I'm going to say that I've bought 3 deals from Hive members. And what makes me more excited about that, Dan, is like, great, I'm not just buying deals, I'm buying it from Hive members. It's like, great. So they bring their deals to me and they're like, I want a JV on it. I'm like, you know what? I'll buy it. I don't even want a JV on it. I'll buy it from you, It's a different experience. It's a different business. It's a different model. But I told myself that this year I had a goal to buy 4 single family homes and 3 to 4 vacant lots. I want to hold on to 2 of them and I want to cash flow the remainder. As far as the land and then all the properties, I want to cash flow them all. So it's a different business model. It's different timing. It's like a entirely separate business. But I told myself I want to be a buyer because I don't see a point of, the wholesale deals are awesome, right? But the problem is once you do a deal, you got to do another one, you got to do another one, you got to do another one, right? Which is okay, but I would rather invest that money into an asset where it can produce money whether I work or not, So that's the goal that I want to do to build generational wealth.
So Deandre, with the last 6 months since you've been on, obviously a lot has changed, including some of your investing goals and things like that. Can you walk us a little bit through what those 5 or 6 months have looked like in terms of going from a certain amount of deal flow per month then to what it looks like now? You're buying lots, you're trying to buy some houses to get cash flow in, and a little bit about the evolution of how that's kind of worked out the last 6 months.
Right. So yeah, I'm glad you asked. That's a great question, right? So for the past 5 or 6 months, every deal, well, let's say I got to take you before that. So before that, everything was a wholesale deal. Everything was, all right, great. How much can we wholesale it for? How much can we get for it? Great. We're selling it. So my business model has changed with that. So everything is not a wholesale deal, right? I take everything through like a step-by-step. Okay, great. If I were to buy it, how can that be beneficial to me? Okay, if I were to buy it and seller finance it, how can that be beneficial, right? Okay, if I were to do this, so it's not just, okay, I'm going to flip it and wholesale it. It's, should I wholesale it? Should I buy it and keep it? Should I buy it and hold on to it for 90 days and then sell it after 90 days, right? So I'm not just trying to be a one-trick pony. I'm trying to adapt to the market and do different things because there's certain things in the market that happen that made me say, wow, if I would have just bought this and held on it for 2 months, I could have doubled what I bought, double what I got for it. You know what I'm saying? So everything is like a step-by-step process before just, all right, everything is a wholesale deal. It was just kind of brain. It's like wholesale deal. Now it's like, could it be a wholesale? Could it be a fix and flip? Could it be a buy and hold? Could it be a seller finance deal? So I'm going through that with every single deal, no matter what deal it is.
Have you changed the way you look at deals when you see stuff come in now because of that? Or is it, you have to be able to look at things through a few different lenses, not necessarily just a wholesale deal, but has the way you've kind of evaluated deals and what works for you now, does that look a little bit different?
Yeah, it does. So I'll give you an example. Like, for example, I get deals at really good discounts. I don't know how, but get them at discounts. Of course, it's with the Hive, right? That's the secret, which is not so secret. But like, for example, I'll get a piece of land, you know, it's worth 20,000, but I'll get it for $5,000, right? I'll get it on the contract for $5,000. And in my eyes, before that time, it's, oh great, we can sell it for 20. We're gonna make 15,000, great. But now I'm like, you know what? If I buy it for 5 and then I get a $5,000 or $10,000 down payment, I can charge, you know, $500 a month and get this amount of interest over, you know, over the next 5 or 10 years. So versus me getting 15,000 now, I can get 25,000 over the next couple of years. So that's kind of example of how it looks now. So
well, you can also raise the price of your owner financing deals too. So if you're going to sell it for 20 cash, that's something you could sell for maybe between 25 and 30 on owner finance, because, you know, people are looking to put that 5, 6, 7K down. And then, you know, if that's all they got to come up with out of pocket, and then, you know, start financing the rest, you just got yourself an extra maybe $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 in equity on the deal on top of the interest on top of that. So that's a great way to look at it.
Yep, exactly. Yep, exactly. And I have 2 of those going on right now, 2 on their financing deals. So I own 4 vacant lots. 2 of them are being seller financed. The other 2, still trying to figure. I think I want to hold and build on one, and then the other one, I think I'm just going to strictly hold it, see what happens to the market. But yeah, so my strategy has changed with the way I look at all my deals. So when I used to get the house deals, right? So I don't really do houses. I do 100% land. I don't even touch house deals. When someone sends me a house deal, I don't even evaluate it. I have a partner who strictly does houses. I'll send it to him. He finds the buyer. I'll get like a referral fee or like an assignment fee in the middle. But now when I get these houses, I evaluate them. Like, is this going to be a good fix and flip, a good buy and hold, or, you know, what kind of deal can it be? And my primary strategy is buy and hold. I rather buy them, fix them up, and then just, you know, cash out, refi them, and then just rent them out and hold on to those properties for dear life. So I like to evaluate as a buy and hold first. And then if that doesn't work, a fix and flip. If that doesn't work, then I'll probably toss it to my partner, and then he'll get it sold. He's really good at that. So even the way I look at single families has changed, because I used to see single families and just, hey, you know, wholesale, let's just get them out the door, you know?
Yep. What are you looking at as the determining factor on whether or not you want to hold a piece of land and sell or finance it versus just wholesale it right away? Like, is there something that you think makes that parcel more attractive than one that you might just wholesale off right away?
Yeah, it depends on obviously the price that I get it at. So if I get it like really, really dirt cheap, and if there's a ton of equity in it, then more than likely I'll buy it. If it's not a ton of equity, like if I get it almost close to retail, like if I know I can sell something for 50 grand and I get it for around 45, I probably wouldn't buy that. Another factor is the location of it, and how far it is from, like I'll give you an example. I bought one in Jacksonville, Florida. That's roughly about 3 to 4 minutes from the Jaguar Stadium, right? So I'm not, you know, I don't know what, according to all the, you know, all the news and articles, like Jacksonville's going to be growing and they're building another sports complex and all these permits being pulled, you know. So I'm seeing that, but the lots over there are still dirt cheap. So I'm just going to be buying them and see what happens. So on those, I'll just be speculating on those. So location, price, and also if it's like in a mobile home area, like if it's close to like a mobile home park, or it's in an area where a lot of manufactured homes, I know people are going to want to put their homes there, and I know that they'll finance those through me. So if it's in a mobile home area, I'll definitely buy it and I'll finance it to someone who wants to put the trailer there. So so location, price, and just some other factors depending on where it is.
I really like that
Daniel.
you're evolving your strategy. You kind of grown up a little bit. It's kind of cool to see.
I know, right? I know.
It's really awesome.
You're making me want to do the same thing instead of focusing so much into storage.
Well, I'll tell you what, too, one of the things when you start talking to builders as much as you do, Deandre, and all of us do, I talk to builders every day. And, you know, in the last maybe 3, 4, 5 months, is there anything you've kind of taken from your conversations with your builders and buyers, Deandre, that has led you to maybe want to hold on to some of the land to build in certain areas? Are there any trends you're seeing, talking with some of these buyers about things that are happening in your markets right now?
Yes. So it's a couple of so one thing for sure, a lot of the buyers that I'm talking to, half of them are having the same problem. They're basically saying that some of them slowed down in buying still to this day because the city is not approving the permits as quick as last year, right? So there's so many permits being pulled to build where it's like, hey, we're still buying, but we just can't buy as much right now, right? And I'm actually paying attention to that in some of those areas. I'm buying as well. Like I'll buy a lot in this area because I know what's coming. Like for example, I bought a lot in the city where this builder I've sold probably over 100 lots to, right? And then I just said, you know what? I'm gonna see how many vacant lots they own in this area. And I looked at it, they own over 2,000 lots, over 2,000. And then the second builder I sold to, they own over 1,500. So I'm like, wow, these guys own 1,000, 2,000 plus lots in this one area, one county, one city. I'm like, you know, they see something that I don't. So I'll just make sure I'm a part of that in some way. Even if I got to own one of them, I want to be a part of it, you know? So having those conversations does play a role in factor in where I decide to buy or wholesale and things of that nature.
Do you have any plans to want to do any ground up development yourself on any of these lots?
Yes, the one in Jacksonville, that's not too far from the Jaguar Stadium. I do plan on doing ground up construction on that one. I don't know if it's going to start this year, next year, but I'm kind of seeing what happens with the market before I decide. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking into doing that on that one. And then I know I announced it in the group, but I did close on the 7 acres in Mississippi. It came with so three different parcels, a single family, a shop in the back that can be converted to like a studio apartment. So on that one, I'm going to be fixing up the house, getting that ready and rented, or I'm thinking about it's not too far for some colleges. So I'm even thinking about renting it by the room. And since it has an extra lot that comes with it, I'm actually thinking about doing a ground up construction on that as well. I still don't know whether I want to do a manufactured home or a modular home or what kind of build I want to do. But in Mississippi, I do plan on building there as well on the 7 acres that I purchased.
Very nice. That'll be interesting, for the remote construction, the remote development, even in Florida. So I know you're in Southeast Florida, is it?
Yep. Not too far from Miami. Yep.
Let me know anything you need in the Jacksonville market. I'll be glad to help you with that one.
I got you. I got a house. Me and my buddy bought a house in Jacksonville. We actually have we're doing work to it now. We're supposed to be cashing out sometime this month. We should be starting that process, but it's almost done. It's maybe 90% done. So yeah.
Let me know where it is. I may have an exit method for you. I've got a guy looking for properties that can work for short-term rentals.
Okay, awesome.
So.
That's amazing, man. So it's kind of crazy seeing you pivot, man, in such short amount of time. If anybody go back to the other episode, I think it was like last September, go check that one out. But this one's pretty interesting. So let's talk about Hivemind, man. So you're now number 1. How does it feel to be knocked down to number 2? Are you offended by that?
I'm a little offended, man, because that number 1 was always my spot. Always my spot.
That's good. I think it's crazy. It's pretty crazy, man. I love doing it. We love paying out our people monthly, and it's kind of a cool, like every month we're like, let's drop some money on some people. But it's kind of cool, and it's not like you didn't work for it either. You did work for it. You did put some upfront labor. What are you doing to, as far as like, keep those people together, keep them close knit? Are you doing like trainings? You do have a separate group. What are you doing to like build up that crew?
Well, I still have everyone that joined with me in a Telegram group. They can ask questions in there amongst each other, and they can ask me questions directly. From time to time again, I'll do a Zoom call. I haven't done one in a few weeks, but I'll basically ask. I'll be like, hey, is anyone struggling with anything? Anyone need any help with this and that? And then I will get on like a Zoom call and say, hey, Zoom call at 7 o'clock. Come with all your questions, issues, and concerns. Or if there's any concerns in the group, I'll do a video and then I'll record the video and I'll just put, here's the recorded video in the chat. So keeping everyone together in the group, it keeps them engaged with me, it keeps them engaged with each other. And then whatever I can do to help, I'll either find someone with an answer or I'll answer it for them by video, even if I have to send like documents or email or something. But keeping everybody tight in that group is really awesome, because I didn't really want to create a group of people where, you know, they join under you and then, you know, you disappear and they don't know where you are. I write the guy, he doesn't respond. You know, I don't want to be that guy. I want it to be like, hey, I joined with Deandre. His group is awesome. I can ask him questions directly. I can JV with him directly. And I have access to him. You know, I didn't want to be one of those people.
No, I think it's awesome.
I'm a member. I joined under Deandre. That was my my introduction to Hivemind, and I'm in the Telegram group, and it's good. It's a good place for people to share information and try to help each other out and whatnot. So that's fantastic. And for anyone who doesn't know, you know, that's the reason I joined Hive, was reaching out through Deandre and another group we were a part of, and he had mentioned it, and we jumped in, and I got my first deal in 4 days with a Hive. And reached out to Deandre. We JV'd together and both walked with, I think, maybe 7,000 or something like that each. It was about 14,000 total in a wholesale fee down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Yep. And yeah, and there's just been a lot of positive momentum since, for both him and me and other people in the group. So, you know, if you join the Hive, it's a great way to be around like-minded people, you know, that want to help each other. And you know, it's definitely collaboration over competition, which is huge.
100% agreed.
So
it's a blessing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Are you stepping out a little bit more? Are you kind of taking on like this Deandre's a boss thing, like doing more podcasts, doing more live events, stuff like that? Or are you still you just grinding?
I'm still grinding. There is a part of me that kind of wants to, like, I think about it from time to time, like, hey, maybe I should be on some podcast, or maybe I should you know, go to more events and maybe try to be a speaker. So there's a part of me that does want to do that, but then I'm still in grind mode, because, you know, I was always grinding with wholesaling, but now I'm grinding with buying. So it's like I started all over again, because buying and wholesaling are two different business models, two different. So a part of me does, but then another part of me, like, you know what? I'm still in grind mode. I'm still not where I want to be at yet. So when I get established, then I'll do more podcasts and things of that nature.
What do you think the next 6 to 7 months look like after the growth you've seen in the previous 6 to 7?
Well, oh man, next 6 to 7 is gonna be insane, because I don't know how mine just keeps getting better, right? I keep getting more deals. Like every deal, every opportunity, and every deal that I bought, wholesale, found, but it's obviously except the JV deals that people reach out to me. It's all been through Hivemind. Like those 7 acres I got in Mississippi, that came through Hivemind. So every 99.99% of all my deals come through Hivemind. So with Hivemind Key getting better, you know, so more marketing, more leads, more lists, planning on making more hires. I see nothing but just positivity in the next couple of months. You know, more assignment fees, more JV partnerships, more affiliates, more everything. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
So I'm gonna kind of jump on what you said last time, is that when you do go out and start speaking more and doing that like organic stuff, it helps you. People will bring you more leads that you're not actually paying for the marketing. That's what happens. That's why I've been I'm recircling back to all the people we did in the podcast early on, because now we can kind of do a checkup and then see what they're doing differently to get more traction. Because we have a lot of people now that aren't even doing any marketing; they're just getting leads brought to them and just closing those. So it's like their marketing went to zero.
Yeah,
where are they now?
Yeah, that's very smart. And also, if I didn't mention, I also started. I was only focused in Florida. And I started branching out to different states, like Texas. So I literally just locked up my first couple of deals in Texas a couple of weeks ago. That I'm doing a partner with Daniel Saltzman. Everyone knows him, right? So in my market in Florida, I'm like the expert. I'm the guy. But in Texas, I'm a nobody. No one knows me. I have no connections. So I use Daniel Saltzman, and he's displaying all my deals. So people use me, I use them. It's like a web. We can all use each other, you know? So I'm happy to say I'll be doing my first wholesale deal outside of Florida, which is exciting.
Is that a lot or a house or a larger piece of
It's
land?
three vacant lots.
Are you noticing the spreads larger than down in Florida, or is it just kind of, obviously it just depends on the area, but are you noticing any difference in pricing and things like that?
Almost roughly the same, or same in assignment fees, roughly the same. Nothing too crazy yet. Maybe when I do more marketing and get a little bit deeper, maybe bigger. But for right now, they're roughly the same. None too crazy.
How about marketing time to get it sold? Like I know right now in Jacksonville, Tampa St. Pete, I can sneeze after posting, something that I got under contract, and I've already got 5 offers on it. So how's that in Texas? Because I've yet to actually move anything there.
Well, I would say it's the same. By the way, Daniel saw some dispo these deals. I sent him the deals on Monday. He had a buyer on Tuesday for all 3. It was just like snap of a finger. So I'm gonna say it's exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Very nice. Very nice.
Deandre, when newer members join or get involved in wholesaling, one of the things that they find difficult is talking to buyers. Sometimes not even talking to sellers is that difficult, but trying to find buyers for deals, negotiating with buyers to make sure you can, squeeze a few extra bucks out if they're trying to lowball you or take advantage of a new wholesaler. Are there any kind of tips or tricks you found in the last year or so with as many buyers as you talk to that kind of can help you maybe get a few extra thousand or 5,000 or 10,000 more out of a deal as opposed to just taking what they're offering at face value?
Yeah, so it's the buyers I understand that because a lot of people, we focus on the sellers, but the buyers can make or break a deal. They're the ones with the money. They're the ones that's your financial backing, right? I would definitely try to, communicate with the buyer as often as possible, whether you're bringing them deals or not. Maybe sending them a follow-up email every couple of weeks or every month, just seeing how things are going with them, things of that nature. If you can get this is a hard one sometimes, but if you can get their personal cell number, I would try to do that, right? Some of these buyers, and some of them are so connected to their company where they want everything by email, things of that nature. But if you can get your buyer cell number and maybe send them a text or even talk on the phone with them here and there, it builds the connection, it makes it stronger. And sometimes they do things for you that they won't do for other wholesalers, right? But if you can't get on the phone with them and it only has to be email, I would send them follow-up emails like, hey, and then also these buyers, they understand the market. They know what's going on. They're the acquisitions. They're the people making the offer. So you can even ask them hey, are you going into new areas? Let me know when you break out in new areas. I want to bring you deals there. Or like, hey, what do you see what's going on in the market right now? Are things turning? Are things still going up? With cost of materials, things of that nature, because there's always different factors. So I follow my buyers every month, every last one of them, whether I'm doing deals with them or not. And I always see what's going on as far as, are they expanding? Are they retracting? Are they going into new markets, right? I always do that no matter what. And then the ones I get to actually have their cell numbers, I call and text them and maybe, have like a 5-10 minute phone call with them, just to follow up. So the closer you get to the buyer and the more you build a connection with them, the more likely they will do things for you. Like maybe they say, hey man, Deandre, on this one, we probably would have paid this price, but since it's you, we'll pay this, et cetera, et cetera. So your relationship can affect your assignment fees, believe it or not.
Are you seeing any pushback as far as expansion recently?
No, they're all expanding. They're so in some markets, it's getting so like the inventory is getting so low, prices are going up. They're not necessarily they're not retracting from there. They still want more, but the inventory is just shrinking. But when that happens, they just, like, I'll give you an example. In one market, let's say they used to get lots all the time, like 10 or 20 lots a month. Now they're only getting 5 lots a month. So in market number 2, instead of 110, they'll want 20 more in that market. So they're expanding. They want more lots like every day, every week. Like I sold a building company over 30 lots, and they're like, hey, you got more? And I'm like, I just sold you 30. How much more you want? So it's
30 more.
It's nuts. It's nuts. You'll think when you're working with these buyers, like, okay, great, got him this, he's good. And then they reach out and it's like, hey man, you got any more? It's like let me work. I'm working on it, you know?
You're the new land dealer. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Well, you can learn a lot, just picking up the phone and having a 5-minute conversation with your builders and buyers. You're going to learn a lot, just like you said, about the areas. And I try to do that as often as I can, to just have touch bases to find out what areas they might be kind of cooling off in and what areas they might be heating up in. And, sometimes things change monthly, and they're not always going to pick up the phone and call and tell you that. It's on you to understand what their needs are. They're not necessarily going to reach out to every wholesaler or every investor that they work with to tell them their new specs, their new buying criteria. So to stay on top of that can give you kind of an extra edge, where other people might just, kind of keep sending the same stuff over and over again. And if you can break into a new area before somebody else does, with people that are paying good money for some of these lots, then, that can take you a long way to getting a handful of contracts before the rest of the herd gets to them.
Matt, that is really good advice, because not only do I ask them, because some of them can be slow at it, some they give it to you quickly, and then some of them, they're only specific to certain areas, right? And the reason what you're saying is like great, because I also track. So if you know the name of your buyer's LLC, you need to use it. I'm talking about because some buyers I use, they use 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. If you know the name of your buyer, yes. So they buy in their company name or they buy in a separate LLC. I would put the LLC on whatever software that you're using and then track where they're buying. It's like so simple. And I'll see where they bought in the past 3 months. It's like, great, they just purchased 10 lots in this city within the last 3 months, right? They probably want more. You know what? They slowed down in that area. I see them pick it. So you can actually track them without even talking to them on your database, whatever you're using, PropStream or whatever you're using. You can actually track their purchases. It's all public record. And then you can see how much they bought for it, which I really love about Florida, because in Texas, it really, really confused me when I didn't see prices. I'm like, whoa, where are the prices? It was like a second dimension. I'm like, in Florida, okay, they bought it for 30. Okay, we should offer them this. It can help you with your offering and anchor them, right? But in Texas, you don't know how much they paid for it. I guess unless you find a agent with access to the MLS, I guess it's a non-disclosure state. So the strategy switches in Texas a little bit due to not being able to see the purchase price publicly. But the point is, I put in the LLCs, I see where they buy at, past three months or even shorter than that, 2 or 1 month. And then I'll just bring them deals there because it shows that they're mine there anyway. And that's without even talking to them. Talking to them is a bonus and getting the confirmation from them, But Matt, that's really good advice, Matt. Really good advice.
It's just like dealing with the buyers, as John Alexander likes to say, and a lot of others, situations change. Same thing, or the sellers, situations change. You could reach out to that same seller 20 times before they suddenly decide, yes, I'm ready to sell, or your material just happened to be in front of them that day. Same thing with the buyers, reaching out to them, especially the larger builders that I know you deal with. They're doing a lot of research regularly. They know probably before a lot of people things that might be coming down the pike that's going to affect them and their large scale building. So if you see them jump to a particular area or slow down on a particular area or step back from, maybe a particular size of construction, that helps you to know what to deal with. And if you're communicating with them regularly, you're more likely to get that information out of them.
Exactly. Yep.
So Deandre, can we talk some numbers here? I mean, there's a few scenarios I want to run by you that I think will help out people that are watching and listening to this. Okay. And this is something that I do when I look at deals sometimes. So I want to know how you evaluate these, especially as somebody who's now buying deals instead of just wholesaling. So let's say an average market price for a lot, a retail lot is like $30,000. Right. Your builder, let's just say an average builder in the area is going to pay 25 or 26. That's maybe even 27. Typically that's what I'm finding on $30,000 retail lots. How do you back into your offers? And also, what would be kind of the line in terms of what you would want to take down yourself to own and then either wholesale it or list it and try to get absolute maximum top dollar for it versus just taking the quick assignment and maybe sacrificing a few $1,000s with a builder. What do those numbers look like to you?
So in an area or a market like that, if I get it too close to around that 25, 27, like for example, if I get it for like 20,000, maybe even if I give it anywhere between like 15 and 20,000, I'm probably going to be more likely to wholesale it. That's probably what I'm going to. And are you asking as far as like how to make the offers, or
no,
like,
just kind of what it looks like in terms of like, okay, if I can get it locked up with a seller at this price,
Gotcha.
I know the buyers, I know an end buyer is going to pay this, like a builder, versus taking it to market to try to get that extra maybe 10 or 20% from maybe just a retail buyer off the MLS.
Gotcha. So if the, let's say the retails are going for 30, if I can get the property myself for 10,000 or less, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to buy it myself. And then I have to determine, okay, great. Do I want to just relist it and get more on the market, or do I want to seller finance it? I'm going to exercise seller financing before relisting on the market because of the cash flow. So if I can get it for 10 or less and they're going for 30, with that 20,000 in equity, I feel comfortable taking that type of risk. So 10 or less, if I can get it for 10K or less in that kind of market, I'm definitely going to buy and hold it, and resell in the future, right? And list it, or I'm going to buy it, get a down payment, and then I'll take the payments over the next, 10, 15 years. So if I can get it for, get it for 10 and someone gives me a down payment between the 5 and 10K down payment, instead of it going for 30, right, over the next, couple of years, I can sell it for 35, 40 with interest, it'll be slow, but you'll make more over time versus a lump sum very shortly and quickly. So that's my stand on that.
That makes sense. And then next question about that with numbers is there a certain, let's say you're just getting into wholesaling and you want to build your cash reserves up. What do you think is kind of an aspirational number to get to before you can start saying, you know what, now I can take on some seller financing. Now I can take on some other avenues as opposed to just grind, wholesale to build those cash reserves up. What does that number look like to you? Maybe like 100,000? 50,000, more than 100,000? Is there a number you would feel comfortable out as a new wholesaler to kind of start dabbling in other areas?
Man, that's a good question, because I didn't start buying until about 250,000, but I don't recommend that. You could start earlier. It's hard to put a number on that, because it's other factors that play into that. Because for example, right, I'm basically a single guy. I don't have any kids. I don't have a mortgage. I have rent, but I don't have like a mortgage and stuff like that. But if you're a guy with, maybe you have 2 kids and a wife and stuff like that, you may need more to start with than less. But with me, I can take more risks. I can do more things because I don't have all the extra. So, but if I had to just put like a dead set number on it, I'll probably say 100,000. 100,000.
Frank, do you have any thoughts on that in terms of like what a number might look like to kind of build up cash reserves to feel comfortable to start maybe doing some other type of plays?
I'm kind of afraid of cash reserves. I'm focusing in on other people's money right now with storage. Okay. I'm actually holding in and out of crypto. It's I don't do the hold on for dear life right now, just because the market's it's fluctuating more than they were saying it was going to. And I realize kind of off topic, so I apologize. But my focus is currently primarily storage. I'm going to probably follow some of Deandre's advice here and start trying to buy and hold land and turn around and sell or finance it. So I love it. I was actually going to ask Deandre, beyond this awesome Hide With Us podcast, what is currently your favorite podcast that you're listening to, or podcasts that are either educational or guiding? Yeah.
Did I listen to one like a daily?
Or like weekly or monthly?
Right. So, man, I listen to a bunch of them, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. But my favorite one has to be the Robert Kiyosaki podcast. It's called the Rich Dad Radio Show. I watch that show like faithfully every week. That's probably number one.
Love that one.
Yeah. And then number 2, he has a business partner called Ken McElroy, who does all his syndication. And I listen to the Ken McElroy show. And his show is fairly new. He just started last year versus Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki, he's been doing the Rich Dad radio show for like years now. And I actually went back all the way to when he started, all the way up till now I caught up. So I would definitely say the Kiyosaki show, Rich Dad Radio, is the best. I've learned so much. You get so many different point of view, so many different perspectives from that podcast. It's insane. You know, they talk about real estate, they talk about crypto, they talk about, you know, anything that's going on with the market, with inflation and things of that nature. But Kiyosaki himself, he's a real estate guy, so he looks at it from a real estate perspective, you know. So it's a dope podcast.
I agree. I love that one for sure. That is definitely one of my regulars that's on my list. Yep. What's your current favorite book?
My favorite book, man, I have a box of them. I have a box, but it has to be the Rich Dad Kiyosaki book, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. That has to be my number one right now. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about that book. I mean, how many times I read it, it just gives me goosebumps. I don't know. It's called Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. And it's not even like, it wasn't the oldest book. It wasn't the oldest book. It's not even the newest. It's like somewhere in the middle. But that book, it just hits you every time you read it.
Every time I read it, I find something new that I missed the last time. Same thing with Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. Every time I read it, I hear something new. And you know, and they're both, you know, they're focusing on mindset very much so.
When I read the Kiyosaki's book, When Everyone Likes Rich Dad Poor Dad, when I first read it, you know, it was an awesome book. Like, I got through it in 4 days. I was like, man, this book is great. But then when I reread it, you know, a year or so later, you know, wholesaling, doing real estate, I figured out that Robert Kiyosaki was a wholesaler. He actually used to wholesale foreclosure properties at auction.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither, until I read it as a wholesaler. Right. So at first I didn't understand it. And then I read it a year later as a wholesaler. I'm like, oh my God, this guy was a wholesaler. He would literally bid on properties at the auction, you know, bid on and win the bid at 30 and then turn around and sell it to someone else for 40 at the same auction. I'm like, oh, this guy's a wholesaler. I mean, I don't know if you can still do that to this day with all the regulations with bidding at the auction and stuff, but that's just something I picked up on. And I picked up on it when I read the book a year later. You know,
that's crazy.
So, yeah.
I haven't read the book since after I got into real estate, so I probably have to read it again to notice that. But that's a crazy insight. I'd never even known that.
He was a wholesaler, full-blown wholesaler, and he did auction properties.
So I heard about that. Trump was a wholesaler too. Like he's like wholesaling like buildings and stuff like that too. So everybody wants to put a bad rap on a wholesaler, but everybody's missing the opportunity by being a wholesaler.
Yeah, they don't bother the guys that's doing it on the $1 billion, billion-dollar levels, but they bother us. You know, they're doing a little bit more small levels. They bother us, but the big guys, they're good, man. They're good.
So as we get
At
ready
their
to wrap
level,
this
it's
up
called
here-
arbitrage. Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say at the high end level, they just call it arbitrage.
Yes.
So they're not wholesaling, they're not assigning, they're doing, you know, arbitrage, you know, commercial real estate arbitrage, you know, building arbitrage, you know, storage arbitrage, whatever it is.
Funny how those things change when you just kind of change up the wording a little bit, right?
Yep, exactly.
So Deandre, as we get ready to wrap this up here, one of the podcasts you did 5 or 6 months ago here with the Hive, you had mentioned that you were doing, you know, you had strung together a few consecutive 100K months. Can you give us an idea of what your monthly kind of workflow looks like? Are you around that level now? Does it kind of dip up and down depending on the month? What do those numbers look like, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, believe it or not, you know, getting the 100K consistency is like, it's tough. Like, even if you do it 2 or 3 months straight, it's tough. So this month, March, is going to be my first 100K month for this year. This month, I'm supposed to do around 115 to 120,000. Right. So I would hope that, you know, January, March, April, May, that follows, but it's still up and down. It's like, great. For March, I did 115, 120K. That's awesome. But then April, I may do 50 or 40, you know? So getting that consistency is still tough. Anybody tell you that's easy, to lie to you. But I do have months where I can do 6-figure months. But obviously the goal is to become more consistent with it. And that's what I'm doing every day. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, great. why am I doing 120 in this month and 50 next month, right? Like, was the marketing slowed down? Did we not make the same amount of offers? Did I hit a different list that I didn't usually hit? I'm always trying to figure out and tweak what is going on and why it's not that consistent. So, and that's an everyday battle. But you fight that battle every day, it makes you stronger, and you're still striding, you know. If I did 80,000, it's like, okay, great. 80,000 is still a lot of money, right? I'm still good. But I would rather be in the six figures, you know?
And that's something
Makes
very
sense.
aspirational to strive for that consistency. Once you start seeing those big months come in, I mean, I think a lot of human nature is to take your foot off the gas a little bit. I'm not suggesting you are at all, but I've been guilty of that before on good months. And then you kind of pay for it. You take a week or two where you pat yourself in the back, don't do the things that you've consistently done before. You're going to find yourself the next month, because this is such a transactional business with the wholesaling part of it, you can suffer pretty quickly if you're not able to stay on the horse and continue being consistent with that. So I think it's incredible, the amount of success that you've had. Obviously, you put in a ton of hard work. You deserve it all, and look forward to chatting more about all the cool things you're doing, branching out into different areas, and continuing to help other Hive members and everybody else in the real estate community. And I just think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think Matt, I think that has a lot to do with your mental as well. Your mental and how strong the team, like how strong of a team you have. Like, it's like, okay, great, you can do six figures in a month. You might feel like, oh, I just did 100,000, I'm good, right? And then the next month you don't do as good because you needed like a small break in between, like a mental break, right? So depending on where you are mentally, and if you have like a strong team, I think that's what's also going to help you be more consistent. Because it's like, great, if I get a little mentally burnt out, my team picks up the slack and they keep it going. So having a strong team can help create consistency as well.
Frank, do you have anything to add before we wrap up here with Deandre?
No, I think you hit it dead on the head there. It's teamwork. To be generic, teamwork makes the dream work. But when taking the foot off with previous companies that I've had, when we took our foot off, we didn't completely pay attention, and we ended up burning through a lot of money because we weren't paying attention to the fact that we weren't bringing it in the way we used to with some of the projects that we had. So we had to step back and refocus to get back up to that consistency. And even our team, we allowed our team to slough off also. So, that's, one of the key things, one of the key lessons that, Deandre just reminded me of is that issue there. So appreciate it.
I'm always
been a great conversation.
I'm always trying to look like a couple of months, years ahead. Because the more money you make from assignment fees and the deals that you're doing, right? You get a little comfortable. It's human nature. Everyone does. It's like, great, I just made six figures, right? So your comfortability goes up a little bit. Your intelligence also just kind of declines, But when the tough months come, when you're not, instead of doing like 100K a month, you only do 20 grand this month. Now you're scrambling like, okay, great. Whoa, I just did 20. That's horrible. What do I need to fix? What do I need to change? One thing about me, whether it's like a six-figure month or whether it's a $20,000 month, I'm always trying to tweak and make different things, and I'm always trying to stay on go. I'm always trying to be on go, like always on the grind, no matter what no matter what the month brings.
Hey,
Matt asked.
Go ahead, Daniel. Frank. Go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, Matt asked, what 6 months out, where Deandre was 6 months from now. Where's Deandre a year from now, 2 years or 5 years down the road? You want to get to just seller finance? Do you want to get to just ground up construction? Is there a market that you haven't tapped yet that you thought, can I do that? Is it possible?
Yes. So, that's one thing about real estate. Like, you end up one place, and then after doing some deals and meeting different people, you like do an entirely different niche and you stick with that. I can definitely see myself doing ground up construction, like building homes. But I want to do like a build to rent model, right? Instead of a lot of people do the build to flip model, which is very profitable. I wonder how a build to rent model would look. And not just doing that in like one state, one area. I'm talking about doing it in nationwide, kind of, not in all 50 states, but just in maybe in a couple of different states. Because different areas, there's different markets. When things crash down, You don't know what market's going to tank first. And I don't know. I want to be diversified as far as, great, I do want to have some new builds in Florida, some new builds in, North Carolina, some new construction homes in Texas, right? But I'm leaning more towards the build to rent model. That's just kind of something that's where I'm at right now. And that's what I'm thinking about as far as what I'll be in the next couple of years. Because I don't know, I really like that model, it's nothing better than being in a new construction home, less maintenance, and then you build it so a lot of building companies, when they build these spec homes, they build them to flip them, right? So they make them all decked out, they make them look good, great. But when you do a build to rent, it's different. You're building it for a tenant. So you're going to make it more tenant resilient. You know what I'm saying? So I really like that model. And I think that's something I'm going to pursue over in the future. So all the vacant lots that I buy and I'm holding on now, I don't really intend on selling them, obviously, other than the seller finance ones. But the ones that I buy in the future that fit that model, I'm going to definitely do build to rent models on them.
Most definitely. Get with me afterwards, via DM at some point or email me. There's 2 builders here in Jacksonville that are doing that. And, at any point in time, like you said earlier, you're talking about builders with a lot of lots. These guys at any point in time will have 1,500 to 2,000 lots that they're holding. And every other house they build, one's build to sell, one is build to rent.
That's a good model.
They have a very different material list. And you said it, they're building it a little bit more resilient, a little bit more turnover friendly. And they have the advantage when they get the investors for that, in that, when you say a brand new property like that, you've got 10, maybe 15 years before you're going to have those major issues come up. The AC should be good for a long period of time. All of the cooling, your kitchen equipment and stuff like that, washer dryer, if you supply that, the roof should be good for a fairly long period of time. Those are a lot of CapEx expenditures that normally, that are going to come up. You hold it for that period of time, then their goal is to turn around and flip them at 10 years or at the 15-year point to somebody else and let all of those problems become somebody else's problem.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
So I just wanted to thank you, man. I really didn't know what my business why was till you hit your 6-figure month. And I'm like, man, we got to help thousands of people hit 6-figure months. So I appreciate that. And I really want to say thank you for that. But you got to let us know when you hit $1 million, because that's going to set a new level to my goal. And we're making millionaires. So whenever we hit that $1 million, I'm like, okay, got our first millionaire. Let's do 1,000 millionaires, So I really appreciate you giving me that opportunity just to participate in whatever this is.
Yeah, no problem.
It's pretty awesome, man.
You're great, man. You, Anthony, are great. From the first day I met Anthony, I'm like, man, this guy, he's going to be a longtime friend. Then he introduced me to you, and I'm like, yeah, these guys are awesome. They're rock solid. I knew from day one, just how giving Anthony was, and then you kind of complimented that when I met you. So it's been great since day one. Since last year, man, it's awesome.
Well, it's an incredible community here with Hivemind, and you're obviously a big part of that, Deandre. Thank you for coming on today and chatting with all of us today. Thank you to Frank. Thank you to Daniel. And thank you, Deandre. And look forward to chopping it up again here soon, seeing what else everyone is up to, and much success in the meantime.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Matt.
All right. See you.